Hello guys, I see quite a few people joining, actually a lot. Adrian here. We're going to start in just a minute. I am just going to wait for all the attendees to arrive, and I'm just checking my settings here. I hope everyone can hear me. Good morning, Ramon. And wow, there's a lot of people on here. Thank you guys for attending. And the numbers are climbing fast as we hit the time for the webinar. So I'll just give it another 30 seconds or so, wait for everyone to come on. We're just about at capacity now. And just want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to get on and that everybody can hear me. Hi, Mazine. Well, a lot of people joining up here. Excellent, thank you. Greetings from San Diego. Hi, Bob. Morning, Lawrence. Doda. Robert. Great to see you guys on. And I'm seeing a few people I think I know, some tradeologists, people who follow me on Tradeology. Quite a lot of names here, actually. I wish I had time to shout you all out, but hi, Jeremy, Nadal, pleased to see you. Desiree, good to have you on. Andrew, thanks, guys. We are really at capacity here, so I'm sure that you guys, wherever you are in the world, are taking some time off to listen to me today. Whether it's a morning, evening, afternoon, welcome to everybody. It's inspiring to see so many people interested in trading. I know some of you might be beginners. Some of you are just curious. You've never traded before or just learning how to trade. Others, like my tradeologists, the Tradeology members, are already probably pretty much advanced in their trading techniques and so on, in their systems. So let me get started here. Today I'm going to teach you a little bit about a new system called the Forex Cash Cloud system. This system is freely available. I'll explain to you shortly how to get it if you haven't already. And I'm going to explain to you how to trade the system. Then I'm going to cover some examples, and I'm going to go over to a chart, and then I'm going to come back to you guys to see if you've got any questions for me. If you do have questions, you'll notice in the panel for this webinar on the right-hand side, there is a little box that you can post your questions. I'm only going to have about 10 or 15 minutes to answer as many as I can. We're at nearly 1,000 people at the moment. So it's going to be difficult for me to answer all those questions today. I'll answer as many as I can for 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the webinar. Those that I don't reach, I will reply to them. And tomorrow I'm going to have another extremely exciting webinar. I'll mention that a bit later again. That's also going to deal with the Forex Cash Cloud system. And it's going to give you an even better or an extra technique, shall I say, to trade with it. And in fact, one that you can use for any trading system or method to supplement how you trade, so that we'll learn as we go and we'll improve as we go. Right, so I'm presuming now that everybody's here, or most that would be here are here, and so we can get going. Thanks, guys. I can see still a lot of messages of goodwill coming in. Appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. Right. So let's see. We're here today to cover the Forex Cash Cloud system. And for that, let me just get onto my PowerPoints. The first bit is going to be on PowerPoint, and then I'll change over to the chart, so no worry. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Adrian Jones. I'm part of the Tradeology team, and it's truly great to see you all on today. And as I mentioned before, we're covering a system that's called the Forex Cash Cloud trading system. You'll see an image of it on your screens at the moment, and I'm going to go in depth into how to trade this. Now, this system can be found on www.forexduality.com, forexguality.com. And after this, I'll remind you again where to go if you haven't been there already, and you can then go and download the system from the page, and on that page there'll also be a short video on how to install it. So I'm not going to cover details of how to install it on the system. There is a separate video for that. To save a bit of time, I'm going to go ahead and explain to you how the actual system works. Now, before I get started, there's just a few things to bear in mind. I'm going to just highlight these for you quickly. This trading system is based on the concept of always following the trend, right? The system is unique in the sense that it relies on signals generated by a set of custom indicators. We're going to cover those shortly. These custom indicators have been specifically developed to identify market conditions for entering trades. The Cash Cloud trading system can be traded on all time frames and all available currency pairs. The system itself is extremely user-friendly, as you'll see, and quite visual too. So it's easy to learn and would be ideal for both beginner and more experienced traders. Right. Now, it's been designed to identify new emerging trends and the best conditions for a trader to join an existing trend. After all, if you can identify a powerful new trend as early as possible, you can take advantage of it and ride the crest of the wave all the way to the shore. Now, I enjoy trading the system on the 15-minute or 30-minute, 1 hour and 4 hour time frames. These are the time frames that work best for me, and they tend to generate the best results. However, the system itself works across all time frames, so you're welcome to apply it to the time frames that work best for you. There are also times when I run short on time and I'm simply looking for a challenge, then I opt to trade the system on smaller time frames like the 5-minute and 15-minute chart. Probably mostly the 15-minute, actually, I'd say. And the results on the low time frames can also be consistent and quite favorable. Now, I'm going to demonstrate later on the 15-minute chart how to trade this. The system indicators and chart template are included in an auto installation wizard on the page that I mentioned before, www.forexduality.com. Simply double-click on the exe file to start the installation wizard. Follow the prompts to install the system on your MT4 trading platform. As I mentioned before, there is a video on that page, and you'll be able to follow the video very simply, and it's quick and easy to install. It relies on 3 unique custom indicators that you won't be able to find anywhere else. The indicators used in the system have been named as follows: the Cloud TMA indicator, the Cloud Price indicator, and the Cloud Trend indicator, and we're going to cover those shortly. The rules of the Forex Cash Cloud trading system are easy to understand and put into practice. Once you're familiar with the rules, you'll find it easy to identify valid trading conditions. By the time you have completed reading the manual, you will know exactly how to identify valid buy and sell trades with clearly defined entry and exit points. So when you download the system, you're going to find a little trading report manual that will explain to you the rules that I'm now going to cover with you also. Now, before we get into the finer details of trading it, let's have a look at the different components of the system, in particular, the system indicators. So this is what the Cash Cloud trading system looks like once it has been applied on an MT4 chart. As you can see, the chart is clean. Everything you need to trade the system can be found on a single chart. We have the price chart and 2 indicators below. Now, let's just bring up this image, which gives you a clearer picture of it. It's what you'll see on the upper chart are 3 lines, and these are the Cloud TMA indicator. I'll explain in depth about this shortly. Then we have the price cloud underneath it and the cloud trend at the bottom. These are all custom designed indicators, and let's cover them separately. Now, as I mentioned, it's the cloud TMA, the cloud price, and the cloud trend indicator. Now, the cloud TMA indicator, you'll see on the top window of your chart. It's made up of 3 lines, and what we're looking to do here is to determine the overall trend direction and also overall trade direction. And I'll explain a little bit more about that when we get into the rules. It's very simple to see on the chart. You can see when price is moving up or moving down, or when it crosses a middle line here, right? It touches the upper or lower. We'll cover that shortly. Next, we have the cloud price indicator, which determines whether the trade trend is up or down. So you'll notice there's some histograms here. There's a orange histogram, and visually, when we look at that, we'll know that we're looking towards entering a short or buy trade. The market's trending downwards. And when it's blue, we're looking towards entering a buy trade or long trade. The market is trending upwards. But we have to have it comply with all the rules before it becomes of any use. So we'll cover that shortly. Now, right at the bottom, we've got the cloud trend indicator, and this is also made up of a histogram. And when the histogram lines are blue, again, it signals the possibility for a long trade or a buy trade. And when orange signals the possibility for a sell trade or a short trade. Again, we're going to use that in conjunction with the other indicator and the top TMA indicator. So basically what we're looking at is with the cloud TMA indicator to see where the reversals in the market are. Now, you can see on the left hand side here, let me see if I can just get a little pen here to explain where I'm looking at. Looking at over here, the price has come down, right? It's touched the bottom line of the cloud TMA indicator and bounced back up. So we're looking for a reversal when price touches this bottom line in an upward direction. On the other side of the chart here, we're looking for a reversal in the opposite direction when price touches the top line. We're looking for it to head downwards. And the other important feature of this indicator is that it has a dashed middle line here. And what we're looking for there is for trend confirmation, trade confirmation as to whether to go long or short. Now, if price crosses over this middle line, that indicates a bullish move. In other words, we'd be setting ourselves up for a buy or long trade. And if price reverses off the uppermost band and crosses over the middle TMA dashed line, we're looking at a bearish crossover. And that would tell us that the market is trending downwards at that point and that we would be looking for a short or sell trade. Now, it doesn't always need to hit the top line to reverse back and cross over, or the bottom line to cross over, but generally that would give us an indication that we're on or in the direction of an eventual crossover happening. It could cross over sometimes. In a consolidating market, the trend changes and suddenly it moves up or down. The important part here is that we're going to be looking for a crossover of this middle line. And I'll get into more detail about that in the rules shortly. All right, so let me just go back to my chart. Now, one other thing I need to do is just erase those marks. There we go. So the cloud price indicator. This is the other indicator that we've got on our charts, and it's a secondary indicator used in the system. Its main purpose is to confirm the direction of the market to ensure that we're always entering trades in the right direction. On the image, you can see an example of the way we will be using the cloud price indicator when trading the system. So reading this indicator is very simple. As I've mentioned before, I'm basically looking to see whether there are blue or orange bars being formed above or below the middle zero line. Blue being bullish, orange being bearish. The zero line refers to the center line that runs through the middle of the indicator, also commonly referred to as the water line. And when there are blue colored bars being formed above the zero line, we consider the trend to be bullish, as I mentioned, and only look to enter the market with a buy trade. On the other hand, when there are orange colored bars being formed below the zero line, we consider the trend to be bearish and only are looking then to enter the market with sell trades. Now, the next indicator is the cloud trend indicator, and this is the third indicator used in the cash cloud system. Similar to the cloud price indicator, its main purpose is to confirm the direction of the market to ensure that we are always entering trades in the right direction. So, as you'll see on the image here, when there are dark blue colored bars being formed, we consider the trend to be bullish and we only look to enter the market with buy trades. Or when there are orange colored bars being formed, we consider the trend to be bearish and only look to enter the market with sell trades. Okay, so now that we've got a better idea of how the individual custom indicators work, let's take a closer look at how they all come together to generate valid buy and sell trade signals. So let's cover firstly what we term the buy trade rules, how to get into a buy trade. The first thing we want to do is wait for price to cross and close above the middle cloud TMA indicator line. As in the image here, you'll see where the arrow points out, price moved up and closed above. From below, it moved up and closed above the middle cloud TMA indicator line. That's the first thing we're looking for. Next, we want to check and confirm that the cloud price indicator has formed a blue colored bar above the zero level. As you'll see in the image, at that point with the vertical red line, I've just used that to highlight the actual entry candle, you can see that the cloud price indicator had a blue colored bar above the zero level. Next, we want to check and confirm that the cloud trend indicator is blue in color. So the bottom indicator, the cloud trend indicator, as you'll see on the image, is also at that point blue. Right. Now we're going to enter a buy trade at the open of the next candle. Once those three conditions have been met, price is closed above the middle TMA line, we have a blue bar on the upper or next indicator and on the bottom indicator, then we set up for the buy trade. We're going to place our stop a few pips below the most recent swing low, or at a maximum of 20 to 30 pips away from your entry level. So such as in the image, in this particular instance, I would have set my stop loss where the arrow indicates, below the most recent swing low. We'll take our take profit the same distance away from the entry as your stop loss. So for example, 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. So it will be equidistant to begin with if you wanted to do it on a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio as where your stop loss was from your entry. And as you'll see on the image, we'll set our take profit at that point there. Now we can also do it on a 1-to-2 risk reward ratio. It's also acceptable. I find that the 1-to-1 seems to work better for me, especially on the lower time frames. Now, sometimes the cloud price and cloud trend indicators, those two bottom indicators, may not turn blue in color and confirm the buy trade on the close of the crossover candle. So if it doesn't indicate blue at the time that the candle crosses over, you may still consider entering a buy trade if the cloud price and cloud trend indicators turn blue on the very next candle after the crossover candle is closed. We don't want to wait too many candles afterwards. It tends to work best within a candle or so of it having crossed. And that's where we're looking to enter, not 5 or 10 or 20 candles later. All right. Now let's have a look at the sell trade rules. These are essentially very similar to the buy trade rules, just we're looking at the opposite direction. So firstly, we're going to wait for price to cross and close below the middle cloud TMA indicator line, as indicated with the arrow and again the vertical dashed line, red dashed line on the image indicates the candle that I'm looking at there. So there we see price crossed and closed below the middle cloud TMA indicator line. Next, we're going to check and confirm that the cloud price indicator has formed an orange colored bar below the 0 level. As you can see on the image, that's exactly what happened. The orange colored bar is below the 0 level. Next, we're going to check and confirm that the cloud trend indicator is orange in color. And again, at the same candle, on that red line, we can see that that is also orange in color. We're going to enter a sell trade at the open of the next candle, in this instance, where it's pointed out in the arrow. And all our conditions have been met. Now we're going to place our stop loss a few pips above the most recent swing high, or at a maximum of 20 to 30 pips away from your entry level. I would usually place it at the swing high, but if the swing high is far away, as in 50 pips away, then I would limit it to a maximum of 20 to 30 pips away from your entry level. So for example, that's where I'd set my stop loss as indicated in the image. And then we would place our take profit again, the same distance away from the entry as the stop loss. Equidistant at 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. And you can see an example of how that would have played out there. And again, sometimes the cloud price and cloud trend indicators may not turn orange in color and confirm the sell trade on the close of the crossover candle. And then we want to consider entering a sell trade if the indicators turn orange on the very next candle after the crossover candle is closed. All right. So if we're going to master a new trading system, we need to go through as many trade examples as possible. So I'm going to get you started with a few examples that will help reinforce the system rules we have just learned. Then I'll move on to the MT4 platform and we'll cover a few on the charts. Okay, so in this example here, we're going to have a look at a buy trade, and this was taken on the Euro USD currency pair. And the red line again will indicate the candle that I'm looking at. At the time, I was monitoring the 1 hour time frame when I spotted the valid trade signal. At point 1, you can see that there's a crossover above the cloud TMA middle line, just at that point over there. At this moment in time, I checked the cloud price indicator to confirm that it was blue in color. As it turns out, at point 2, it confirmed the buy trade signal with a blue bar above the 0 line. Very small one in that case, but it did form. Next, I checked the cloud trend indicator to confirm that the market was bullish. At point 3, you can see that the indicator is dark blue in color, confirming the bullish trend. At that point over there, that condition was met. Since all the conditions for a buy trade were met, I waited for the candle to close, and at the open of the next candle, I decided to enter the market with a buy trade. The entry level can be seen at point number 4, right there, clearly indicated. Right. And next, immediately after entering the trade, I went ahead and set my stop loss at 0.5 so that it was below the most recent swing low. Next, I went ahead and set my take profit target level at 0.6. Note the distance from my entry level to my take profit is the same distance as my stop loss, being 1-to-1 in this case. And in this case, my stop loss level was 20 pips away from the entry level. And my take profit level was then also set 20 pips away from the entry level. Okay. Now, as you can see, the trade goes on to take my take profit out within a few candles. And I'm out for a healthy profit at that point, 0.7 on the charts. Let's have a look at a sell trade example. But this time around, obviously, I'm looking at the sell trade. Now, here you can see an example of a buy, this should say sell trade, on the Euro USD currency pair. I was monitoring the 1 hour time frame when I spotted the trade signal, and everything lined up perfectly, and I decided to jump in on this trade immediately. At point 1, you can see that there is a clear crossover below the dotted cloud TMA middle line that signals a sell trade. At the same time, I checked the cloud price indicator to confirm that this was orange in color. As you can clearly see at point 2, the cloud price indicator has confirmed the sell trade signal with an orange colored bar below the 0 line. Next, I checked the cloud trend indicator to confirm that the market was indeed bearish. At point 3, you can see that the indicator is orange in color, confirming the bearish trend. Since all the conditions for a sell trade were met, I waited for the candle to close, and at the open of the next candle, I decided to enter the market with a sell trade. The entry level can be seen at 0.4. Immediately after entering the trade, I went ahead and set my stop loss at 0.5 so that it was above the most recent swing high. Finally, I set my take profit level at 0.6. Note that the distance from my entry to the take profit is the same distance as my stop loss to my entry level, again giving me a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. In this case, my stop loss was 25 pips away from the entry level, and my take profit level was also 25 pips away from the entry level. Now, as I said before, you can make it between 20 and 30 pips. I wouldn't go further than 30 pips away, and most of the time I would set it at 20 pips if my swing high or low was further away than that. The trade goes on to hit my take profit, and I'm taken out from the trade with a fair profit at 0.7. So that would have been a very profitable trade there. Let's now take a look at the charts on the trading platform, and we'll see what this looks like on the actual MT4 charts. And I'm just going to switch over to that in just a second. I first want to check on something else here. All right, and let's go to the charts. So this is a chart of the pound yen 15-minute. It is current. You can see the date there. And I've set out just before the webinar just a few examples that I could see just on this chart alone of potential trades, and there might even be some happening right now as we speak. You can see over here, for example, that price has crossed below the middle TMA line, and at this candle here, both of these indicators, the cloud price and cloud trend, were indicating orange. So I could have entered at the open of that candle to go short. In that case, I would have set my stop loss about 15 pips away at this most recent swing point over here, or low, and equidistant take profit target. Same occurred over here. Price crossed over the TMA line from below, and at the open of this candle here, even possibly at the next one, depending on how quickly one could get into this on a 15-minute chart, I would have looked to see how far, or the nearest low swing point. Let's make it over there somewhere, about 10 pips away. You could have easily made a profit there. So with the red line here, I've indicated a previous example that I'd seen, where, as you'll see, price crossed below the middle TMA line, and then at that very point, at the next candle, when I entered the trade, we would have also seen that the cloud price and cloud trend indicators were both orange in color. Again, I would have set my stop loss just above this last low point here at about 13 pips. And if I did a 1-to-1 trade, a risk reward there, I would have been taken out in profit over here. Again, you see why on the lower time frames I prefer the 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. A little bit further to the left here on this green vertical line, I've got an example there of a buy trade, and you'll see price moved along the line and eventually closed above it at a point that we could see that clearly the cloud price and the cloud trend were both signaling blue on their histograms. And if I'd entered the trade on this candle here, I would most likely, you'll see that this is about 24 pips away. I would have still have tried to restrict that a little bit to about 20 pips, I think, on that. And we would have come close to hitting our target. In fact, this would have been the better level over here, I think, after this candle. So 14 pips. And that would have made it exactly 1-to-1. Now, if I scroll over the chart a little bit, let's have a look at a few more. The more of these we see, I think the better, because it gives you a good idea what to look out for. Eventually, when looking at a chart, you could see them quite clearly, quite quickly. Just a little bit of practice. And again, in this instance, price closed below, and we were waiting for the orange line to appear. Could have entered on either of these candles. If we had entered here, I would have set that point at about 18 pips away. And eventually, let's see, we might have taken a while to play out, but somewhere around here, we would have been taken out in profit on that trade. Here's another example of the crossover. You'll see how powerful this is just by looking at any chart and scrolling through it, having a look and see. Here again, price closed above. If we had entered on that chart there, could have possibly have used that 18 pips, and you'll see we would have been taken out somewhere over here on a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. Let's have a look at some more. Here we have a candle that you'll see price closed down fairly strongly here. At this point and at this point, depending on how quickly you got into the market, you could have entered a trade. This is quite far up. I would have chosen probably around 20 pips as the maximum there. And you'll see that that was easily achieved actually on this next thrusting candle downwards. And just prior to that, another trade. Again, price crossed over. We would have entered at the open of this candle here. Furthest point away was about 16 or 17 pips. And we would have hit that target fairly quickly. Again, let's have a look at sell trade example here. And again, you can see in the bottom two indicators, both orange in color, price crossed below the middle TMA line, would have entered on this candle here. And in this case here, I probably would have set it about 8 pips at the most. And actually, that's exactly what happened there. 8 pips, 1-to-1. That was the nearest high. Now let's go over to this chart here. I normally would measure for these trades the wicks. I know a lot of traders will use the open or close as the point of measurement. For this purpose, I measure mainly the wicks. And in this case here, this would have been a bit of a more risky one in that price closed below, and you'll see over here, again reversed back upwards and closed above the line. And it wasn't for the next 2 or 3 candles that we could see that both those price cloud and cloud trend indicators had changed color. And if they had changed color at that point, the earliest candle I could have got in on was probably this one. And at the open of that candle, I could have got into a trade. Normally, I wouldn't have. It would have been too many candles afterwards. It becomes more risky. The more candles away from the cross you enter a trade. If one had taken this trade, though, you can clearly see that, at even if we're taking a 30 pip stop loss there, we would have successfully entered that trade. These are not all that regular. And something similar happened here, where price thrust downwards quite strongly, and it was only a candle or so later that we see that the histogram would have changed color. So again, I would have set my stop that's 40 pips away, way too high. I would have come down to possibly 20 or maybe even the TMA line there, and eventually you can see that that would have hit. Let's have a look at another one. Again, sell trade, price moving down, and once we've got confirmation that it's closed below the line and that the price indicator, the cloud price and cloud trend indicator are orange, we would then enter the trade. Again, this is about 30 pips away. We normally do about 20. This might not have made it. I don't think it would have actually, because this would have been too high a thrusting candle. So that may not have been successful. We're not going to get every single trade successful, right? The point is we want to get the majority of our trades, our win rate, to be as high as possible. And on different time frames, on different charts, you can experience different types of win rates. But on average, we should be looking at around 80% win rate over time. All right? So I think generally what I've shown you now gives you some good ideas of what to look out for. And what I'd suggest you do is, once you've downloaded this system on your charts, is to open a chart, open any chart, have a look at it, scroll through it, try and identify, like I have here, past trades. And that will set you up to frame your vision. You know, when you look at a chart, you can almost instantaneously then see, oh, it's crossed the line. Look at that. It's orange and orange. It's very visual, easy to see, not much to it. It's just a case of making sure that you recognize the rules when you see them, and that you manage your trade with your stops and your take profits. Now, you could, of course, exit a trade earlier if you wanted to. If the trade is taking a while to play out and you're in profit, reduce your stop down to the entry point. Try and at least lock in your profits. I would also say that if you're trading the longer term time frames, the 1 hour, 4 hour, and it's weekend or some kind of market holiday happening or a news event that's about to happen, then try and close out your trade as soon as you feel comfortable, and at very least trail your stops down so that you get out at least at break even or at profit. Our overall goal, after all, is always to at least conserve our money or make a bit of profit, right? So we want to make as much profit as we can in these circumstances. Now, for those of you who are new to trading, what I suggest also with this, even if you're a little bit experienced, of course, is to first practice this on a demo account, a demonstration account. Most brokers will allow you to do that. Once you do, I'd start it off on a small trading account, a small live account, test it until you're familiar and satisfied that you know enough about how to trade it to trade it on a larger account. And the best time frames to trade this on are actually the higher time frames, if you've got the time and the patience to do that. But if you're looking for quick profits, you can definitely have a look at the 15-minute, even the 5-minute for that. And the currency pairs that I generally look towards are the Euro USD, the USD CHF, the Pound USD, the USD Japanese Yen, the Australian Dollar US Dollar, the Australian Dollar Canadian Dollar, and the Euro JPY. So, as well as the Pound Japanese Yen, if I haven't mentioned that yet, obviously. So, at this point, guys, we've had a look at some of the charts. I'm wanting to have a look at the questions and see for just a few minutes what questions we've got here, and see if I can answer any of these for you. And I apologize if this takes a few minutes because there are literally tons of questions, and the question window, you'll find it in the chat box on the webinar, is very small. So I'm trying to just get an idea. An extraordinary amount of people saying hello. Thank you so much. Do we get a copy of this webinar? Yes, the recording will be put up on the Forex Duality, FOREX DUALITY.com page. After this, it takes about an hour or so for me just to render and so on, but I will make sure that it's up there together with the system. We'll also be able to view it on Tradeology.com, TRADEOLOGY.com. I'll also make it available there for our members. Apologize for those who might have lost the audio or visual at some point. I'm not too sure what happened there, but I've repeated as much as I could so that we see everything that we can. Now, I'm just scrolling. Now, on forexduality.com, shortly after this, it won't be on there right now. Shortly after this, the page will be up with the system, with the download, with the recording. So, yes, can we trade this on MT4? Very definitely. That's, in fact, what I'm looking at trading it on at the moment. And I see there's a lot of people saying they can see the screens, they could see it, no problems, can see everything is good. Thank you, guys. Recording will be great. Thank you very much. At the end of this webinar, I'll repeat the URL to use. There aren't any alerts on the indicator. That hasn't been programmed for it. I think it's quite visual. You'll be able to see very quickly, and oftentimes the trades are taken out quite quickly. So at the moment there aren't any, but we don't really need the alerts. All right. Next, I just want to see any other questions here. Somebody's asking me what difference do the colors of the candles make? Now, the candles have been set to blue and orange, although it makes no difference whatsoever. If you want to change them to green and red or whatever you feel preferable with, I just thought that they visually look a little bit better with the indicators below. You can change them to whatever color. Blue meaning bullish candles, orange meaning bearish candles. They essentially are just for appearance sakes in that sense. Must price cross the TMA middle line? Yes, it has to. It has to for the first signal to occur. Okay, so it has to cross and close above if it's coming from below, or below if it's coming from above. That's one of the first rules that we've got to look to. It's no good that it just touches or just comes within a few pips of it. It must actually cross above or below that middle line. The other methods of trading this, yes, that's actually a good question, and I'll tell you why. Because tomorrow I intend to give everybody who's on here a new lesson on this. I first want you to just have a look at this and learn to trade it a bit. But tomorrow I'm going to give you another method that you can use this exact same system to be even more profitable. So please do not miss that tomorrow. A link will go out to everyone who's attended. And some of you might have already actually registered for that. But for everyone that's on here at the moment, I will send out a reminder of a webinar for tomorrow. And please, if you could, I'd appreciate if you'd be on there, because after all, I think you're going to improve your trading vastly by being on there. The lessons I'll teach you tomorrow will in fact be applicable to any method, particularly good for the cloud system, but you could make use of the lesson with any system, essentially. So not to miss out on that for tomorrow. All right, I see a few more questions coming in here. Function with the indices. I haven't tested the system on any stock trading platform, so I would say that yes, it works on Forex. You're welcome to try it with any other. Win-loss ratio, as I said, it depends on whether I stick to the charts that I mentioned earlier. There's about 6 or 7 of them, the majors and so on, and what time frame. On average, you could say it's got about an 80% win-loss ratio. So pretty good trading strategy. It's reliable on all time frames. Obviously, the 1 minute is extremely fast. I don't like to trade the 1 minute because it is so fast, and I don't always have the time to monitor the trades. I would say that if you are going to trade it on a low time frame, try it first on the 15 minute. Between the 15 minute and the 1 hour, those two time frames should give you the best indication and chance to trade it. So all the trades are for 30 pips max. 30 pips is the absolute max I would use on this. Normally, as I said, I would even set it at 20 pips or the nearest swing low or swing high, depending on whether or not you're going long or short. Now, the very furthest would be 30 pips. The further away the stop loss is, of course, the more risk you're taking, in a sense, with the trade. So Keep it relatively tight, 1-to-1 most of the time, and that should hold you in good stead. Now, which time frame is used? As I mentioned, you can use the 5 minutes, yes. I would suggest first practicing on one of the higher time frames first, till you get it, till you get used to it, till you get a feel for it before moving to the faster moving time frames. And yes, sorry about this. In the background, there's some kids that are with me in another room. Unfortunately, they were with me today in the office, and one of them is ill. So I apologize, guys, if there's a bit of coughing in the background here and there. All right, the win lost. I heard that again. The trigger is the crossover. That's correct. Seems to be a nice system. Thank you, guys. Now, yes, the further down on the time frame charts you go, the better. You know, the London Open, New York Open, you're going to find there's a lot more volatility. Those would be good times to trade it, to test it at least. So the best time is the 1 hour. Second would be the 15 minutes, I would say. Now, you can, what I would sometimes do is simply on my charts have 5 or 6 charts open. If you wanted to do it this way, there is a way that you can put various charts on your platform open at the same time, and you can monitor them all. Not that difficult to do. You're just looking for the line to cross. Yes, you go complete reversal once it crosses. And can we have a replay of the webinar? Yes, as I mentioned before, if you missed that, you can get a replay of this webinar pretty soon afterwards. All right. Good system, easy to follow. I see a lot more comments, more about that, saying thanks and so on. Where can I download it? How can I get it? Awesome, thank you. All right, so I think what you guys are wanting to do right now is to go and get the system. You are obviously wanting to get going with it. So what we'll do is I'm going to put this up within the next hour or so. It'll be up on forexduality.com, and I'll repeat how that's spelled again. FORXDUALITY.com, and that should be up within the next hour. For those of you who are watching this recording, obviously by the time you watch this, it will have been recorded. You can watch it on the page, and then you will also get to be able to register for tomorrow's webinar from the announcement that I'll send out shortly after this webinar. So I think that's it, guys. We've been nearly an hour. I want to thank you again for the time that you've spent with me today. I'm sure that you'll find this a super system to trade, and I wish you the best with this. Obviously, please go and download it. You can then review this video once more, or this webinar that will be recorded and then will be put up as a video. And I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you, guys. And just to repeat again, for those of you who didn't have time to write that down, www.forexduality.com.